Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Right now, the biggest immigration story in America is not who ICE is arresting, it's who the Trump administration is now targeting for getting in the way. From a courthouse mob scene in Illinois to a manhunt in New Jersey after an ICE agent was hit with a van, to federal conspiracy indictments tied to Antifa-linked networks in Minnesota, the message is unmistakable. This White House is not just enforcing immigration law, it's defending the enforcement machine itself. And once that line gets crossed, the debate ends and the criminal case begins. So is this the next phase of law and order under President Trump? I'll tell you why this matters, because for years the left tried to blur every line. They treated obstruction like activism, intimidation like protest, and chaos like compassion. They screamed at agents, surrounded vehicles, leaked operations, and created a climate where federal officers became targets simply for doing the jobs American taxpayers pay them to do. Under the Biden administration, that lawlessness was indulged, excused, and politically useful. Under President Trump, that era is far over. So what we're witnessing now is a very deliberate escalation in enforcement priorities. First, the administration shut down the border, then it turned to deportations, gangs, cartels, and trafficking. Now comes the next layer. Anyone who obstructs, coordinates against, or assaults or materially supports attacks on federal immigration operations is being treated as part of the problem, not a bystander to it. That means arrests, indictments, press conferences, and public warnings designed to send one unmistakable signal. Touch a federal officer, interfere with an operation, and the full power of the United States government is coming for you. And speaking of protecting what matters, let me take a quick second to tell you about something that can help protect your own health and energy. You've probably seen the clip of Joe Rogan with Mel Gibson talking about serious health struggles and dramatic turnarounds. Rogan mentions light-based therapies working at the cellular level. Gibson says it plainly the stuff works. That caught my attention because I watched something similar in my own home. My wife dealt with constant discomfort and anxiety for far too long, and finding relief changed everything. And that's why I want to tell you about red light therapy from Jonathan Otto. If you've been looking for a natural way to support recovery, energy, and overall wellness, go to myredlight.com and see what's available. And check out the interviews on this channel. Use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. Small daily steps can make a real difference, and this may be one worth taking for yourself today. Now back to the story that shows the Trump administration is done letting radicals bully federal law enforcement. What makes this bigger than one ugly confrontation is the pattern. In Illinois, activists screamed in agents' faces while ICE executed a lawful warrant. In Portland, federal charges followed anti-ICE violence. In New Jersey, a suspect allegedly hit an ICE agent with a vehicle and triggered a manhunt. In Minnesota, prosecutors are not talking about one hothead. They're talking about conspiracy, coordination, and material support. That's the twist. The administration is moving past one-off incidents and towards dismantling the networks, the enablers, and the street-level intimidation campaign around immigration enforcement. The massive manhunt underway after ICE-involved shooting in New Jersey, tried ramming an agent and got shot and ran.
Right now in New Jersey for a suspect accused of hitting an ICE agent with their car during an attempted arrest. It happened earlier today, and investigators say the agent fired a shot at the car as it sped away. Correspondent Alexis McAdams is live in New York with the latest. Hi, Alexis.
Hey, John. So right now the feds are working to track down the driver who hit an ICE agent with his van and took off. We want to show you the scene. It happened around 9:30 this morning, so it was pretty active then in South Jersey. ICE telling Fox the agents were conducting a targeted traffic stop. So they say they knew exactly who they were looking for, had been following this person, trying to track down that target during the investigation. But the driver wouldn't stop, wouldn't pull over, and authorities say he just sped off and hit one ICE agent with the van. That agent opened fire, and according to local police, at least one of those bullets hit the back of the van.
Incident occurred at 9:28 at 1400 Route 72. Back window was shot at by the officer. Last seen heading eastbound Route 72.
So the ICE agent who was hit by that car is expected to be okay. No major injuries were reported, but we're waiting to get another update. The local police in Stafford Township, New Jersey, say they were not involved in the operation. Their statement, John, almost wanted to make that so clear to people. Say, hey, we're not working with ICE here. The department following New Jersey's strict anti-ICE laws set under Democrat.
So that was New Jersey. An ICE agent rammed suspect on the run. Local officials scrambling now. Watch the same anti-ICE mob playbook in Illinois where activists screamed in agents' faces even after being told a valid warrant was in hand. This happened in St. Charles, Illinois, Kane County Courthouse. They stated they had a warrant and told the crowd to back up. Activists got in their faces, repeatedly screamed, "Where's your warrant?" after being told they had one, then unleashed nonstop abuse. You're being an a-hole. I mean, you can see what's on your screen here, so I'm warning you, there is some strong language here in this clip.
I'm telling you, get out of the car. I'm gonna break your window.
Where's your warrant? Where's your warrant? Where's your warrant? Where's your warrant?
Hey.
Where's your warrant?
I got a warrant for his arrest. Open the door. I'm gonna break your window.
Where's your
Back
warrant?
away. Back
No.
away. Back away.
Where's
Open
your
the door.
warrant?
I'm gonna break it.
Where's the
I'm gonna break
warrant?
it.
You have your
Hey,
warrant.
hey,
Your
get him out of the way.
warrant.
Back out the way.
Where
Back up.
is your
Back up.
warrant? We're legally allowed to record.
Back up.
We're legally allowed
Back
to
up.
record.
Back up.
We are legally allowed to record.
You can record,
We
but
are
back up.
legally allowed to
You
record.
can record,
You
but
know
back
we're
up.
legally allowed to record.
can back up.
Stop it.
You can record, but back
You're being
up.
an asshole. You're being an
can record,
asshole.
but back
Stop.
up.
I'm recording.
You can record.
Where is
You can record, but back up.
Answer one simple question. Where is it? Where is your warrant? Answer. Where is it?
Stay back.
I am back.
Stay
I'm just
back.
asking a question. Answer.
Back.
You're coming up to us. You're coming up to us. You're coming up to us.
Oh, we're asking us to see it. Where is it? Where? Let's see it. Let's see your warrant. Where is it? You don't have it. You don't have it. You don't have it.
I am back. I'm 6 feet apart. What directives are you throwing at me?
I'm 6 feet
Where
apart.
is your warrant?
What is this, COVID?
Show your face. Do you have a warrant? Can I see your warrant?
Please get back. Please get back. Thank you. Thank you. Please get back. Thank you. Okay?
He is very aggressive.
All right, let's go. I'm going to have you guys move because he's going to reverse. Hey, here. I need you to get out of the way.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Your fly's open. Your fly's open, you dumbass. You idiot. You fucking idiot. You fucking idiot. You fucking moron. Pussy ass bitches. You pussy ass bitches. Where is your warrant? Where is your warrant?
Okay, you get the point. It's not just obstruction and abuse in the street. Now the hammer's coming down. DHS highlighting a Portland case where a protester allegedly smashed an ICE officer in the head with a rock, now facing federal prison time. This is from Homeland Security. We will not tolerate violent rioters attacking law enforcement. If you assault law enforcement, you will face the full weight of justice.
Since June, nearly 24 people have been arrested on charges connected to ICE protests in southwest Portland. The latest, 24-year-old Jacob Hoops, a Reed College graduate. FBI investigators say Hoops threw a rock and hit an ICE officer in the head, then later used a stop sign to damage the ICE building.
So the prison sentence sends the message, and now we're seeing the crackdown widen in Minnesota. Federal prosecutors have unsealed an indictment against 15 people with alleged Antifa ties accused of conspiring against ICE operations.
Today, a federal indictment was unsealed, charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of two Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement of federal law in our state.
So the Minnesota indictments didn't come out of nowhere. Homeland Security lays out when investigators say they found planning, material support, coordinated attacks on federal officers.
Working closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office, our investigation uncovered extensive planning, material support, and coordinated attacks against federal personnel and facilities. Our teams have worked tirelessly, conducting surveillance, reviewing camera footage, and analyzing large volumes of information to identify those responsible. I want to thank all the agents and staff whose dedication and professionalism made these indictments possible. Our message is clear. You may not agree with the laws. You may protest the laws, but you must follow the laws or face the consequences. It is not optional. We will enforce the law. Any attempt to undermine it through violence or intimidation will be met with decisive action.
So while DHS says the net is tightening on the street thugs, the media still keeps running interference. Up next, Anna Navarro flatly denies Maduro sent criminals north. J.D. Vance on The View today pushes back with the facts.
Used to work and be my colleague that have tried to find evidence of that. There is no evidence that Maduro was releasing people from insane asylums or jails like Fidel Castro did do. This was made up. And we just can't, accept it without pushing back.
Anna, we know that there were people who were released from prisons who were encouraged to come into the United States.
It wasn't the Mariel, Mr. Vice President. It wasn't where it was like a purposeful release, open up the jails, open up the insane asylums, and let people flood Florida. I lived through that in Miami.
If you go, it may not have been like Mariel, but if you go back to the caravans that were happening in 22, 23, we know that those things were funded. They were in some ways supported by the government.
There was absolutely
so I don't know how you define support or not support, but if people are encouraged to come into our country after having spent time in prison by their own governments, I think.
So Vance wasn't just there to swat down the lies. He also made the case for what the Trump agenda is delivering. Next, he lays out the mandate. Border security, lower prices, and factories coming back to the towns the swamp forgot.
I think that's ultimately up to the voters, right? I think voters have every right to expect as much as possible out of their elected representatives. We certainly know that we were elected on a number of mandates. One was to close the border, which I think we've done successfully, exceeded expectations there. Number two was to lower prices, and there's a lot of work to do, in large part because of what's happened over the last few months in the Middle East. But as you said, oil, which got up to $120 a barrel, now is at $80 a barrel. That's going to be reflected in lower fuel, lower food, lower energy prices. But there's a lot more work to do. The thing that I'm proudest about most, because as some of you may know, I grew up in one of these towns that was forgotten by the leaders in Washington of both parties, is that you're seeing, that's Middletown, Ohio. That's my hometown in southwestern Ohio. It was a proud steel town. I was raised by a grandfather who was a union steel worker, is that those jobs disappeared. Those factories closed down. The thing that I'm most excited about is you do see a large amount of capital investment coming into our country. Factories being built, construction jobs are way up, manufacturing jobs are starting to catch up. So there's a lot more work to do. I think that we're making progress, but ultimately we're going to make our pitch to the voters in November, and they're the ones who get to decide whether we've done a good job or not, and that's how they're going to vote.
Exactly. That's the bigger point. Shut the border, enforce the law. Fraud machine starts breaking apart next. A major immigration law firm tied to tens of thousands of visa cases shuts down under allegations it fabricated abuse claims to game the system. One of the largest immigration law firms in the U.S. just shut down.
A bomb just exploded in the immigrant community, and fear is everywhere. Here's why. The largest immigration law firm in the United States, boom, just shut down. And why? Investigation for fraud. What was the fraud? Well, the attorney who owned the firm, her name is Alexandra Lozano. She specialized in visas for victims of domestic violence, victims of human trafficking, and the feds and also clients were investigating, and there was a civil lawsuit alleging that she was purposely faking affidavits, creating stories to get people visas, specifically a lot of people who entered without visas so that they could fix their status here in the United States.
So, I'm going to tell you now, this is the real turning point. The Trump administration is building a deterrence model. Not just arrests, but visible consequences. Not just cleaning up the border, but protecting the officers, the buildings, the vehicles, and operations that make enforcement possible. That's why the Minnesota case matters so much. Federal prosecutors are signaling that if the anti-ICE activity becomes organized, planned, funded, or violent, it can trigger a much broader legal response. Add the New Jersey manhunt, the Portland arrests, DHS promising decisive action, and a clear doctrine emerges. If you oppose immigration enforcement peacefully, that's your right. If you cross into intimidation, assault, obstruction, or coordination, you're not a protester in the eyes of the administration. Now you're a criminal target. And honestly, it's really about time. America cannot have a functioning republic if federal agents are hunted, rammed, surrounded, screamed at, and sabotaged for carrying out their lawful orders. President Trump promised to restore law and order, secure the border, and back the men and women on the front lines. This is exactly what that looks like. Vice President Vance said the border mandate has been met, and now we're seeing the follow-through. Consequences for the people who try to break the enforcement system from the outside, and as the immigration fraud scandal suggests, from the inside too. That's how serious governments act, and that is how you restore respect for the law. If you stand with ICE, if you believe attacks on federal officers should bring real punishment, if you think that the days of activist immunity should be over, share this report everywhere. Then comment below with a simple yes or no. Should anyone who obstructs or assaults ICE during an operation face automatic federal prosecution? If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because Next News will keep exposing the left and celebrating every America First win. But I want to make sure you get the news, because I've heard your messages, I've seen your comments. You're not getting notifications. You can't find us in the feeds. And there's a reason for that. It's because we're just telling the truth. Truth is treason in the empire of lies. So make sure you text Raw Feed to 844-840-4963. That's how you and I stay connected, even when the algorithm decides otherwise. And make sure you're celebrating all these wins by going to the merch shelf below this video. America 250 is here, so celebrate with us at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.